Big storms are possible the next 48 hours. In this video, I'm going to map out the brand new timing in the areas at highest risk. Both rounds bring in the risk of severe weather to many states, including the Carolinas, Georgia, into Tennessee. And we have to look out for all threats here. Both rounds look to bring in high winds and hail, but I also cannot rule out an isolated tornado. I'm also going to map out in this video the big cool down that comes in behind this system. 40s possible late this week in the southeast, with some in the mountains getting into the upper 30s. Wow, quite the cold front here by May standards, and I'm going to map out what that means for winds beyond this, because I know schools are wrapping up around the area here. What we're seeing out of this system is a big push of cooler air, and anytime you get that this time of year, it can separate severe weather from non-severe weather. Today, that risk is in the very high category back through the plains. We'll have to watch that because that deepening low pressure system does move off toward the east, and tomorrow that threat is in many areas of Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, even into the western Carolinas here. Let's look closer at that threat today. It's more of a wind and a hail threat today. Moving out of Tennessee as that old frontal boundary becomes activated again across Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, back through Atlanta, Asheville, westbound. Now, when I look at the tornado threat, we can't rule one out. It's that time of the year that there's enough wind energy that you just can't discount that threat, but it's not the highest of the threats. That is certainly the wind threat and the hail threat today. Tomorrow, that overall threat gets closer to the Carolinas. It's in Middle Tennessee. But I think the time frame is going to help a lot of us out in, say, Asheville, Greenville, and Spartanburg, because it's moving through at a less volatile time of the day and after you've already had some rain. So I think that could help things out in many locations. Let's look closer at that tornado threat on our Tuesday. It would be late in the evening hours, but this hatched area means that EF2 or EF5 tornadoes are possible in that range. That means large and long track tornadoes are possible here from Mississippi to Alabama through Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, that threat would be going down as it moves off toward the east, but you see the level 1, level 2 threat gets as far east as Knoxville into the western Carolinas. But again, hail and wind are our main threats in those areas. I've got brand new computer models that time it out, armed with the latest information here for you to help you plan. Let's map out round 1. That's today, all right? First, I'm going to start wide, then I'm going to zoom in, okay? So what's happening here is there's an arm, an old frontal boundary here that's set up here across the western Carolinas, and that becomes activated later today with us being so hot and humid. So notice the storms that fire up around 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. So it's about a 3-hour window here, a short window of some volatile storms. Some of these could be supercellular in nature, which means they're volatile. They have a huge updraft here. I think it's more of a supercell hail event than a tornado event. But again, in this atmosphere, I can't rule it out. So I need you to be weather aware this afternoon, 3 to 6. We're in a level 2 risk of severe weather. Then things simmer down. No threat tonight. You can sleep easy, no worries going to bed or waking up tomorrow morning. There could be some rain when you wake up. Actually, that would be a good thing. The more rain we get early in the day on Tuesday, the better. But that is actually a warm front lifting north. And once that gets out of the way, we're in a pretty good lull the rest of the day. Most of Tuesday is just fine. We're dry, but that line begins to take shape and start snaking. Anytime you see kind of an S shape to a line like this, that means there's some strong winds, there's bowing segments, which means there could be some rotation in this line, but it's still in Middle Tennessee at 6 p.m. That's where we could have some tornadoes in that area, some very strong storms, some hail. Now, moving into Tuesday night, here we are with round 2, moving into many areas. There's some rain probably in the evening hours in the western Carolinas, but that main line doesn't arrive until, say, midnight. Here's midnight. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like it's breaking up by the time it arrives in the western Carolinas. 1, because of the time of day. 2, the mountains doing their thing because of the direction that it's heading in. So I don't expect it to be widespread in the upstate. In fact, I'm more concerned about later this afternoon for the upstate than I am Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. That said, this system moves through, and by the time most of us are up and going to school and work on Wednesday, it's just fine. We've got windy conditions breaking out and cooler weather beginning to work on in. Let's look at this, run the same model but closer in. Here are those supercells I'm telling you about later today. Here's 3 o'clock. 1, 2, 3 supercells possible across the area, and in these could be some large hail. Can't rule out an isolated tornado, but large hail and strong winds would be my main concern. And they would blast through between 4, 5, and 6. Very electrical storms as well. Now, this would move on through by 5 o'clock. It's pushing the southern part of the upstate. 6 o'clock, pushing into Greenwood. By 7 o'clock, most of our area is clear, done with the storms. It's pushing into the I-20 corridor and the I-77 corridor south. Then we're pretty dry until we get to the morning hours. Some downpours here and there, and then we're in that lull. All of Tuesday afternoon and evening looks to be pretty tame, other than a rogue isolated thunderstorm in the muggy, warm environment. It's going to be that night. Here we are, midnight. Those storms in East Tennessee are trying to weaken, and as they move off toward the east, they will try to move into our area strong. But I think the mountains are going to break a lot of this up, as well as the time of day helping us out. Here's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5. So by the time most of us are up Wednesday, the birds are chirping and there's not much going on. That said, it is a volatile atmosphere. Let me show you the tornado parameters. This afternoon, they sit around 1 or 2. So once I see 3s and 4s, it gets my attention. 1s or 2s means the threat's not 0, but it's also not very high. All right. Going into tomorrow, there's certainly a lot of tornado parameters in Tennessee. Now, they do get into our area. There's just not much storm activity going on while those levels are high. 6s, 7s jumping up here across the Carolinas, but there's just no lift to get storms to fire off. By the time the storms actually arrive, these tornado ingredients are gone. Here's 3 a.m. Those levels are back down to 1s and 2s. So I don't see the rotation in the atmosphere overlapping with the lift in the atmosphere to give us those storms. So overall, this second round of severe weather, it's got my attention, but I think I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll be just fine out of that one. All right, let me show you what happens here as we go into tonight and tomorrow. Wednesday is when the front moves through and the winds pick up. So I know many of you have asked about bounce houses, field days going on. What will the winds look like? Well, Wednesday, those gusts get up to 25, 30 miles per hour in the mountains. Those gusts will be howling. I mean, you got to think it's ushering out 80s and bringing in 30s and 40s. Yeah, the mountains will be dropping down to the 30s going into our overnight hours. That's cold for May, very cold. Now, going into Wednesday night, those winds simmer down. By Thursday morning, 5, 10 miles per hour in the upstate, still 20, 25 in the mountains. But as the day goes on Thursday, it's breezy again. There's a pocket here of 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. Not sure what your bounce house can handle or what your field day activities can handle, but know that it'll be around 20 to 30 miles per hour, on the high end 35 miles per hour by Thursday afternoon. And this does bring in some cooler air with it. Let me show you that, because I think you might be surprised at how cool it actually gets here. Going into the next couple of days, I mean, we're hot and muggy, near 90 in the deep south. South Georgia, Savannah, 94, 95, Orlando. Can you imagine being at the parks right now? 97 today, 98 or so tomorrow. And you got to think that humidity so high, Central Florida. Now, that cold front comes in Tuesday night into Wednesday, and this is a cold front that pushes south for many. In fact, I think our coldest night is going to be Thursday night going into Friday morning. Let me pause it here. We've got 45 in Asheville, 51 in Greenville, Atlanta 47, Charlotte 48. But you see these brighter colors, those are upper 30s. Beach, Sugar Mountain into Mount Pisgah. I mean, we're talking some chilly readings, especially when you know it's going to be windy as well. So I don't think we have frost or freeze concerns. That's great news for area apple farmers and peach growers. But moving forward here, it does look to be below normal. And it looks like this dip in the jet stream kind of lingers around through Memorial Day weekend. So not cool or cold by any means, but certainly high temperatures below where they should be. Our normal highs should be around 80. We're going to be closer to 70 to 75 for a while. And that outlook gets us through the rest of May below normal temperatures and what looks to be above normal rain. Now, I want to tell you, when you're above normal in late May, early June for rain, it's not so innocent as just a downpour. Usually when you're active rain-wise, you're active storm-wise as well, because you can't really get rain in the summertime without getting storm action as well. And we need to be dialed in on the tropics. And moving forward here, we need to be watching this activity, because 9 out of the past 10 years, we've had named tropical systems in May prior to hurricane season actually starting. This year, I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, we're running out of days here in May. There are no active tropical systems expected in the next 7 days. So, it's going to be close. The GFS model is the only one that shows us really getting action in the model data period. Okay, so let me map this out, showing you where and when. There's a little area of the Caribbean that is typically a trouble spot any time of the year, but especially this time of the year, it's more vulnerable to activity. The next week, it's warm down there. It's kind of just sitting there baking in the sun. So as we move forward here, that's a spot we need to watch. And look what happens that first week of June. The higher pressure, the reds here, moves out, and lowering pressure starts to happen. And there's a little pocket of energy that tries to move in from the Pacific. Notice it crosses over into the Atlantic basin, and there's lower pressure here, and that's an area that's vulnerable. So June 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the GFS here is showing a little low developing, little baby low, 1,000 millibars, but it's something, and we need to watch it closely here in that first week of June. But again, that's the only computer model that's showing it. I just want you to stay dialed in on the fact that hurricane season is developing here, and we're getting outlooks daily from the Hurricane Center, so I want to keep you posted on that. But the big story here is the 2 rounds of severe weather that will be moving through the southeast that could bring some big storms. Talking wind and hail as well as an isolated tornado risk both today and tomorrow. Some of those tornadoes could be strong in Middle Tennessee if you're traveling that way. But after that, late this week, it's about the cooler, crisper air. Feels a little bit like fall outside with lows in the 30s and 40s, 30s in the mountains, 40s outside of the mountains, and breezy conditions. Folks, I'll keep you posted on the storms. If you're new to this channel, please, the best way to stay informed is to, like this video. Let me know in the comment section where you're watching from. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I will keep you posted as any storm that comes our way turns severe. You'll know about it first here, and I'll track it for you every step of the way.